All right. Good evening, guys. If you're just joining me, welcome to the first episode of Geek Yourself. It is a weekly show that I want to do where we simply just engage in conversation. I get to share with you some of the things that have been happening and some of the things that we're doing. Most of the discussion, hopefully, will be based around technology and some of the things you want to know. And I'm doing this simply because a lot of people keep asking questions and things about computers or whatever it is. And I know that we're not meeting as much now. And so I'm starting the weekly show so that you guys can ask whatever questions you have to me. And hopefully I can answer them via this platform, right, where I'm able to share with everybody. For people who don't know me, my name is Marcel Palmer, right? And I'm an information technology teacher at the high school here in Punta Gorda Town, Toledo District, Belize, Central America, right? And of course, this gives me a chance to share with you all. If there's questions you have pertaining to information technology, camera, gardening, DIY projects, there's a whole array of things that we can discuss or I can share with you. And I have a bunch of them that I want to share with you during this episode. The plan is to have the episode go maybe for 30 minutes, right? And if you guys have any comments or questions, you can ask it in the comment section below, in the feed below, going along with the live. I have also opened up a Jitsi for people who are not familiar with Jitsi. It is a conferencing software, and I know the last time when I did a call along with some of the other guys, we used a software called Zoom, right? But I found out that there were limitations to that software, and so if you're interested in conferencing, Zoom is one of those software that you can use. The only limitation we found was that it was at 40 minutes for the actual conferencing. So I'm using something new called Jitsi, and you guys can go to this by going to a browser. And let me see if I can show you that. All right, so you can go to a browser and you can just type this in up top: https://meet.jit.si/backplay EP1, right? And EP1 is for episode 1. So again, if you want to join into the conversation, you can do so. Just go to this URL up top in your browser and it takes you direct into the stream itself. So if there's something you want to share, you want to offer an input, again, you can go to the following URL and get involved in the conversation, right? So some of the things that I've been looking at or reading about, apart from all the coronavirus scare that is going around, right? And I know we just got some other updates from the government press office saying now that we have about 18 positive tests for COVID-19, and we will continue to see a slow rise in those numbers, right? But most countries in the world now are dealing with it, and the numbers are coming down in some countries, right? And of course, going up in other countries. So it is something that we have to be totally aware of here in Belize, right? And of course, the norm, or now the advice, is that you wash your hands, as often as possible, and of course the self-isolation. And the quarantine is in effect for the entire country now. And I'm sure that I think if I missed, I didn't read a whole lot today on Facebook, which seems to be the media for sharing data for Belize. I know that they have probably extended the quarantine days to now 21. So it's something to look out for. But some of the things I wanted to share with you was there's one thing that I think Google and Apple finally team up with. Google and Apple in terms of how they're saying that they want to help fight this pandemic is by offering you an app to your phone, which if and they're trying to implement it, but there is some privacy issue with it, right? And of course, you have to question whether or not privacy is real, but there is some privacy issue with it. So they have teamed out and they're now giving people in I think in China, and I think US might start it soon. So they're doing an app still in the beta phase, I guess, where if you have or if you've tested positive for the COVID-19, that you can mark it on to the app and then people will know the location where the virus is prevalent, right? So we don't know how much people will do it. They're saying the data is totally anonymous, right? But the way they do it and why this is so interesting for Google and Apple to be teaming up with this is because we know that we have our cell phones and the app is installed on the cell phone. So you're saying, all right, I am saying on this app that yes, I'm in an area where COVID-19 exists, right? And so you want to know how people actually um, get feedback from it or how they could actually track you. But the truth is that your phone actually keeps on emitting the Bluetooth signal, right? So it's always emitting the Bluetooth signal, so it's called Bluetooth low energy, right? So although you have your Bluetooth device turned off, it still emits that Bluetooth signal at a very, very low frequency, so it doesn't burn, it doesn't take up a lot of your battery power. It's called Bluetooth LE, and you can research it. And what it does is that although to you the Bluetooth is off, it tells the other devices around you that you're present. And so that is how then you're able to see with the software, let's say somebody, let's say I say that I have COVID-19 and there's somebody around with their phone, the alert goes off because their phone can tell that it's near mine, right? So although the location might be off. And again, this is some things that they don't tell you in terms of your phone. So we assume that this little device is fully safe, right? But there is something called Bluetooth low energy that stays on even when Bluetooth is off for you. So just something to kind of pay attention to. We don't think the software will even make it to Belize, but know that your phone is doing that. And so there are some implications to using the smartphone and some of the different apps that you use and whether or not you really value your privacy, right, that you say you have. Apart from that, like I mentioned before, I am using now the Jitsi software for conferencing, other softwares that you can use for conferencing. If you want to chat to family members, you want to set up a meeting for your particular work area or for a school, if you want to meet with your students. There is the Jitsi, and then there's also Zoom. And maybe I should show you guys these, right? So there's Jitsi, like I mentioned. You can sign up for this. This is totally free. It is open source software, and so anybody can use it. You can set up your own um, conferencing server if you have the know-how, right? Um, and that way you get to manage it fully. But as far as I can tell, the software is pretty straightforward. I know there's a phone install available also, right? So you would come here and say, all right, start a call, and you put in the name of the call, and the person, you send that URL to somebody, which to me makes it far easier than dealing with Zoom or some of the other software available, right? And of course, this is free. It falls under the open source license. Open source meaning it'll always be free, right? And people are able to make changes and turned into what they want, right? So Jitsi, and then like I mentioned, there is also Zoom. So Zoom video conferencing, which is the one that I use, that I used before, and this is used for meetings, and it says you can handle so many people. It is one of those paid software, but they do offer a free version to it, right? So the free version can host up to 100 participants, um, one to one meeting. 40 minutes is the limit for the group meetings, right? And then compared to all the rest, and I don't know why I'd probably need 300 participants for me, but know that they do charge an extra fee for the Zoom software, but you do have the 40 minutes free that you can use, right? So again, if you're just joining in, remember that you can leave a comment if you have any questions concerning anything, specifically IT based if you have. Um, I'm also looking at using Jitsi if you want to call in or video call in, share something with the entire panel, right? I am hoping that we can stay on about 30 minutes. And this is episode 1 of the series. When I went around, right? So when I went around PG this morning, I had to go up and pick up a couple things. Um, I still notice a lot of people were wearing masks, and I really don't have any mask, so I think I'll have to look at making mask also so that I can use, right. Um, I noticed that people are making some of those that are washable. Um, there were some examples shown on some YouTube videos, and I'll have to look for those. But some of the masks, even when you sneeze, you can clearly see that the sneeze passes through. So be careful what you're using for mask. And of course, the recommendation is that you wear it only when you're going to places where you know you'll be around a lot of people, right? Apart from that, Mr. Barry from 3D printing, he was doing some 3D printing of the face mask used for the frontline workers. And so he was making those using a 3D printer. He'd asked me if our 3D printer is working, and I know Mr. Mejia also asked if the 3D printer is working. Unfortunately, our 3D printer is not working right now. Otherwise, I would have contributed to that also. But somebody was making them by hand and did a very good job. And one of the stores that I went to today, I also saw the store when I'm wearing the entire face mask, which helps to protect you from other people and that direct contact, right? So, 3D printing, they use the technology to assist us in the fight against COVID-19. We also see people using their 3D printer at home, and we're asking if you have 3D printer at home, the plans are available on a site called Thingiverse, thingiverse.com, and you can download 3D plans and send it direct to your printer, right? And that's if you have a 3D printer. Again, if you're just joining our chat, you'll notice that the discussion is open from anything from software, hardware, gardening, any other thing you have interest in, DIY, right? Whatever you want to talk about, you have a question relating to computers, this is the time that you get to ask it. And I'm doing this segment simply because people keep asking about their computers, and they just want to know what's happening, if something went off, and they describe their problems, and I still have to be troubleshooting the problems over phone, right? So I say, all right, it's a good opportunity for me to share with everyone. Right? Take a break, and I'll be right back.
Yo, sin man. You know, say the system fail we. And poor people are suffer. You know what? Say the system fail we, yes. Oh yes, oh yes. Why? Tell them boy. Say the system fail we, yes. Oh yes, oh yes. Why?
Alright, so we're back again, and that's one of the songs by Mara G. New song that came out. System fail, we still have the video to make, video in the making, right? As soon as this entire thing is over, we do have a plan for that video. we want to incorporate again a lot of people from the community, right? So you want to be a part of it, let me know. As soon as this quarantine is lifted, we start shooting some music videos again, right? And Mara G always, the man is always ready to make new videos. All right, one of the things I wanted to touch on today also, and I know we already spoke about the conferencing or the online conferencing that you can do. We spoke about the Bluetooth and the Bluetooth low energy consumption that's always on, and how um, Apple and Google are hoping to help to fight the pandemic or to actually get the quarantine lifted. I think that's possible. And also about the 3D printing and of course the handmade mask and the mask sharing for the people on the front line. And of course, I also want to give thanks to again the people on the front line who are doing a wonderful job. I know a lot of them are concerned, right? And the COVID-19 is scary. I know scary it is, right? But it's just a matter of keeping home for now until it disappears. So people have been asking me, say, so what do we do, right? And I've seen a lot of posts where people are saying that they're bored, right? And this is hell, and this is prison, and this is so forth, right? I listen. This is the time for you, especially if you have internet at home. This is the time that you try to learn something new, right? This is the time you try to learn something new. I have been well, I've been doing some programming for a while, specifically Pascal programming, and I decided that I've dabbled a little in Python programming, and I said this is in time for me to learn Python programming. So I'm looking at the Udemy, yeah, like Code Academy, something like that, that teaches you how to program, right? So I spend about an hour and a half every day, and I try to schedule out my day now because I notice that I still don't have time to do everything that I want, right? So people saying that they're bored and they're in prison and they want to sleep all day, man, that is bull, right? There's so much you can learn. This is the time you find everything else that you wanted to do and get it done during the day. And you can work all night because you can sleep all day if you're at home. Now, for the man or for the poor man who needs to go out and feed his family, I can feel his pain, right? Because this is the time that he would go out and bring that food home or bring money home so that they can buy something, right? So it just means now that everybody in the home have to chip in as much as they can or as much as they have saved. I know some people are still running away to get work done. And I totally understand you. The whole quarantine thing is, of course, necessary. And so we ask that you try your best to cooperate with the authorities. Apart from that, some of the things that you can do, feel free to work around your yard. I mean, we're in the Caribbean, you know. We have a lot of yard space. This is not the US or one of those first world countries where you're trapped in an apartment, right? So use the yard space, use the backyard. You're not interacting with anybody else except the family members who are in the house. So use the backyard, do a little bit of gardening, right? This is the time to do that if you're bored. Find something interesting to do. Some people are learning how to cook now, which is good, right? I see a lot of food um, videos and pictures going up, right? We hope it lasts long enough because I think we have some rough days ahead of us, right? So we take your time with the cooking. Don't waste your food. If you can't bake bread, not try bake it. If you can't bake turkey, not try do it because you don't want to chow everything, right? You practice the cook rice, cook a little bit so that you get the sense of how to cook it, and then you work fine. You cook a little beans, right? But don't waste it, right? This is not the time to waste food. And think about the weeks ahead. This is only the beginning for us. Apart from that, you could spend some family time, and family time again is not limited to just interacting at home, right? And we can use WhatsApp, we can use Google Hangout, we can use the Messenger, right? And so forth to assist in sharing our family time. And I actually find it fulfilling over the past week. I've been chatting to friends, I've been chatting to family, so I've been using some of the different chatting software a lot. And like I mentioned, now the Jitsi is one of them we can use now. So you can add that to your arsenal, right, for sharing. Remember that if you want to join in on the conversation, I started a Gypsy session also. Jitsi, why am I saying Gypsy? Right, Jitsi. And you can actually just type in this URL up top HTTPS. So let me put it on the screen so you can type in this URL up top, the HTTPS ://meet.jitsi.si /backplay episode 1, right? And of course, this is episode 1 of Geek Yourself, and I'm hoping to make it something weekly, right? And if we can do it 2 times a week, we will, as long as we're talking about technology, we're talking about some things that you want to do around the house, right? We're talking about educational stuff. That's fine with me as long as I get to share with you. Good? So again, if you want to join in video-wise and offer some input, I can give you a 2 minutes and you can tell us something, right? Or you can also share what you want down in the comments below, right? And if you have any questions concerning technology, I'll try to answer those as best as possible. One of the other things that somebody mentioned that they wanted to do and they asked me how was the conversion of old photos into digital photos. So a lot of us keep the old, we have old pictures then in the album. And of course, after a little while, you notice that the pictures tend to deteriorate, right? So it's a good idea now to sit down, go through your album, and take some of the pictures and convert it into digital. And one of the ways you can do that is by using a scanner. So in our case, I'm not going to recommend any expensive scanner to you, just your regular scanner that you have at home, just so you can start keeping those pictures digital. One of the other things I do is that I just take a picture of it with my phone, right? And of course, try to catch the angle well, because some people take pictures of the phone, but they take it on a kind of sideways angle, and then it spoils the picture, right? So make sure the phone is direct over the picture and everything is in frame, and then take the picture, and then that of course gives you a digital copy of the pictures that you have lying around, right? And I'm saying this because a lot of people have old albums at home, and we're in digital age now, and so this is the time you back that up. Also, what you can do is to back up your data, right? This is the time you can back up your data from your computer, from your laptop, and put it somewhere else. Put it on, I wouldn't say put it on CDs, but put it on flash drive or put it on an external storage device. What you can use for external storage, you can purchase, well, the stores are closed now, but if you have an external hard drive, and I think most people do, you can back up your data to that. And of course, Google has 15 gigs of free data, free storage that you can use. Let me not say data, 15 gigs of free storage that you can use to back up your data, right? And if 15 is not enough, you can actually purchase space off Google. Of course, Microsoft, I think, offers the same thing, and there are other storage facilities or storage software that you can use for storage. So again, some of the things that you can do, you can find some work to do around the house, right? Don't be lazying up yourself. Help out. This is the time you cook, you farm, you spend some family time, you scan those old photos, you learn something new online, you back up all the old data that you have, right? Get things organized, right? So use this time wisely, right? And it seems like we'll be running some more days than planned, right? So take a break and we'll be right back.
Gas price gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up. Why? Say the food bill gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up. Yes, yo, even the house rent gone up, gone up. Even the social security gone up, gone up. Yeah. Said the system fail, we yes.
All right. We're back again. We're back at it. Spoke about some of the things that you can do. Again, just a quick review of what we've been talking about. I was telling everybody in the beginning that Google and Apple teaming up with a software that uses your Bluetooth even if it's off, right? There's Bluetooth low energy, and you guys can do the research, right? So don't feel like your Bluetooth is ever off. It's always on, and they'll use it to see how we can track and help with the COVID-19 to lift the quarantine. Working from home, you can do conferencing now. There's Jitsi software, there's Zoom, there's Hangouts, there's WhatsApp, there's many things that you can conference with, so make use of those tools. And of course, Belize has a fiber network going now. So if you're part of the Diginet fiber thing, let me tell you that the system works fine, right? Fiber is like Belize's gift just before this quarantine, I think, because a lot of people now have internet at home, so we can work from home. The mask, I mentioned that people are doing 3D printing of somebody for help to assist in the construction of the face mask, right? And I see people sewing up the mask that goes over your mouth and nose and so forth. So that's great that people are helping the frontline workers and, of course, helping yourself in being safe during this time of COVID 19. Um, some of the things you can do from home, and I mentioned some of those just before the break went off, the cooking, the farming, the spending of family time, but find something to do apart from just being lazy and lying down all day like if you're sick. If you tell your body that your body is sick, your body probably will get sick, right? So keep your body moving, do some daily exercise. This is the time you want to keep healthy, you want to keep that immune system up, right? Um, Apart from that, if you're entertaining yourself, I know I see a lot of people now have Netflix, right? So a lot of people using Netflix, a lot of people using Roku and the Fire Stick for for their entertainment purposes. So what they do is that they attach the Fire Stick to the TV and kind of turns the TV into a smart TV. The Roku does the same thing, and then of course Netflix is online, right? I still question whether if you have a smart TV, why do you need Fire Stick and why do you need Roku, right? But I think some people get the wrong concept of it. But as long as the TV is a smart TV, you can go online and you can do the same thing you do on your laptop, and it's fine. Netflix and chill, nothing else. Yeah, Netflix and chill, right? But like I mentioned, don't chill too much that you tell your body for the next month that I am getting lazy, right? How you train your body is how it will turn out, right? So make sure that you're moving, make sure you're sweating every day. So go out into the yard, King Evan, you have a big yard, plant some beans, plant some corn, right? Plant some cabbage, right? Help mommy, help daddy with something, chop the yard, right? These are things that young men can do, right? And of course, the females, they assist. Females can chop too, I feel like this is sort of limited, right? Females can chop there, you can assist with the housework, right? And even the males can assist with the housework. So things are changing now, right? Ladies get out and they do some of the manual labor also, right? Because it keeps the body pumping, keeps the heart moving, right? And just keep you feeling nice and healthy. All right. Um, so like I mentioned, the Netflix, the Roku, the Fire Stick, right? There are some nice online digital TV channels that you can get. I wish I could share some of those with you. I don't watch, when I want to watch movies, I simply go to like 1, 2, 3 movies and I find one of those sites that stream it, right? Um, some people might say it's illegal. It's on the internet, If it was illegal or ISP, would probably had blocked it already. So find some of those to watch. I watch a lot of YouTube recently. I if I want to see, and I'm not a big movie fan, but if I want to see a movie, I normally would go into YouTube and type in short films, and those short films give you the feel of an entire movie, and you get that in 15 minutes, right? And so some of them are really nice, right? There's one from Omelette, I think that's it. That is what it's called. But they do some wonderful short films, so do check those out. Um, People have been bringing in some laptops too for some reason, and I thought I would explain it, right? But most of the device now, most of the devices do come with a onboard diagnostic that you can use. So somebody brought in a laptop, and I still have to check it yet, but I already have an idea of what the problem is, right? And say, oh, the laptop is not coming on, it's giving some boot sector failure, and so I immediately knew that that was the hard drive failing. So the questions I asked them was, did you drop the device, right? And they said, no, and everybody always say no, right? No, I didn't drop the device. And man said, oh, but yeah, a broom fell and knocked on the device, right? Or the other person said that they were passing through the door and the device bumped into the door and it's arm. What you have to keep in mind is that your laptop and your desktop, specifically laptops now, I know I did a segment on types of hard drive. But inside your laptop, there is the hard drive, and the hard drive stores your data, right? And what happens is that that hard drive is always spinning. So it's one of those movable devices that is in your computer, and it's spinning at 75, 7600 RPM, right? And so the minute it gets knocked, it means that the read-write head might touch on the platter, right? And the platter is something you can think about the platter like a CD, and the read-write head is above it. And so the read-write head doesn't really touch on the platter, and it's spinning at that high speed, right? Reading off that data. And when you bump it into something, the read-write head might touch on that platter and then cause damage, right? And so something as simple as that, you knock your laptop while it's on, you bumped your desktop, right? Your desktop fell down because you were cleaning. You went outside with your laptop, you tried to sit down, and then it slipped off your feet, and you know what? Something went wrong, and so you have now this blue screen or this boot sector error, and you can't figure it out, and so you come in and you want to know what's wrong. Um, Most of the time, if you're seeing some words when you start up the computer, when you start up the laptop, um, it means that you're still in good shape, because then it means the motherboard is still working, right? But majority of the time, when it gives that boot error, it is because you damage your hard drive, right? In some cases, the hard drive does go in after a period of time. So after a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the hard drive does go in. And so it is always recommended that you back up your data, and at some point you need to change your hard drive. Now, I did a segment on types of hard drive. So somewhere in the videos that is on the channel, I spoke about solid state drive versus your traditional hard drives. And what solid state drive is that it is still a hard drive, but there is no movable part. So even if your machine falls to the ground, it wouldn't really affect your hard drive. Solid state drive is like your flash drive, that type of technology. So as far as I'm concerned, I have actually washed my flash drive in my pocket already and left it a couple of days, and it came on back, right? So solid state drive is like that. So when you drop your machine now and you have a solid state drive in there, nothing will go wrong. So the recommendation is that if you're upgrading your machine to anything else, and you have the little extra money, because solid state drive do cost a little bit more, and you get less storage, then put in a solid state drive. Some machines now you can also put in a solid state drive along with the traditional hard drive. But keep in mind, traditional hard drives that contains the platter and spinning and so forth, those are a lot cheaper than solid state drive, right? But solid state drive is far more durable than the traditional drive. So just some update. So while we talk about that, solid state drive versus traditional hard drive, I'll take a break and I'll be right back.
Oh yes, oh yes. Why? Tell them boy, say the system fail, we yes. Oh yes, oh yes. Why? Tell them boy. Yes, daddy work. Yes. Poor people is so far. Why all them ministers them get richer? Oh yes, oh yes. Why? Tell them say yes.
All right. Big tune from ROG. System fit, oh yes. Video coming out soon, guys. So, keep locked in. All right. I know where time is going. I'm looking at the time also, and I'm saying, man, anytime I talk, time just fly, right? Which is true. So we want to look at. Can you hear? You heard the song just now, Eden? Right? You're locked in. Did you hear the song during the break? And again, this is a one-man operation, right? So I'm doing all the changing and all the transition and so forth from my computer right in front of me. The camera I have is just a regular. All right. It's just a regular webcam. All right. So the quality, I still like the quality, right? And of course, I'm testing out my green screen effect. So what is behind me is just the green screen. Right? So it gives me a chance to play around with everything. When I started out on YouTube, I knew nothing about video, right? I had I still have my Nikon camera that I had purchased about a year before, and started to play around with photos, right? Right, so I started to play around with photos a little bit, And I'm just laughing because of the comments in the comment here from King Evan, Aiden. Hopefully they don't get toxic, and these guys can get toxic. But the just King Ev is my little nephew from the Mopan, right? And Aiden, people know him. He's Tuko, Mr. Tuko. But I was saying that when I started out with the YouTube thing, I had no idea of video editing and editing of pictures and so forth. I used to own one of the smaller cameras before I upgraded to the Nikon, and I'm glad I did the upgrade to the Nikon because it gave me an additional hobby or gave me something else to learn. Right? If I didn't have the camera, I wouldn't be able to learn about it. Simple as that. I could have read all the tutorials and all the videos that would help, but as soon as I got the camera, it gave me a chance to practice with it. It cost me about $1,000 at the time, and I've invested over time. I've had the camera now for about 3 years. I've invested over time, and I've purchased some other lens and so forth. Right, so it means that it gave me something else to do. I started YouTube with it, right, and I'm here on YouTube now, still practicing. So I, well, I'm not the person to feel bad whenever something goes wrong, right? So I'm learning right now Premiere Pro for video editing. I am doing a little bit of Lightroom for the manipulation of photos and Photoshop with that, right? I'm slowing down on that. Um, I'm doing Python. I'm also trying to learn the OBS thing. So there's OBS and there's the live stream. And of course, I've been sharing some of that with you, right? And see how this whole thing ties in together. So hopefully, one of these days, I can create some sort of media company, right? And right now, even the transition to show you the power of technology, I'm changing the transition that I have on my phone. And this is how I'm able to do something like this, right? Where I can switch a screen, and I'm doing that from my phone, linked to my desktop, right? So there's no magic in this. What I'm trying to say is that all the learning can happen online, right? So all the learning can happen now for you also. And so there's some things that you can learn right at home, especially if you have internet. All right. A lot of people has been they have been asking about wireless, and they have seen their internet slow down and so forth. And I know I just told you about the fiber and how great fiber is and Diginet um, for having fiber in Belize and just in time, right? For people asking about wireless and why the Wi-Fi seems a little bit slow, you do have to consider now that everybody is at home, right? So it's not that normally you're at home and the kids are at school, or the kids are home and you are not on the internet. Now, if there's, let's say, four of you in the household, and most people in the household now have a phone because even the kids have phone now, right? And everybody is streaming. Let's say everybody is streaming YouTube. Everybody, they're one side doing their own thing on YouTube. It means that everybody is dragging in that data, right? Or dragging that bandwidth, using up all the bandwidth. So if your speed of internet, for instance, is 10 megabit per second, right? That's not too bad. So for three people and 10 megabit per second, you won't do too bad, but I'm sure that at some point you will feel that bandwidth get limited. Now, the other company, Smart, I think still has their wireless. And so people who still have the internet from them, and I may be wrong, don't quote me on this, right, may have 4 megabits per second or 8 megabits per second, and they have wireless from the company. So every time if the wireless device is not in a proper place, every time there's something or an obstacle in the way, it diminishes the speed or the capacity that it can carry. And so the problem with wireless, and I'm not saying don't use smart right, or don't use that company. The problem with wireless internet now compared to the fiber is that the fiber comes direct from the source to your home. While with wireless, it has to go wireless over to your home. And so if there's any obstacle in the way, right, and all kind of things could, all type of things could obstruct wireless signal, then it means that your signal will diminish. It also means that there's a limit to how much data is being transferred over to your home from the wireless signal. Now, I started off talking about Wi-Fi, and I said, all right, some people are complaining about the speed of the Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi at home because they have seen a drop in what they can do. And I'm saying that because of the amount of people you have on the network using Wi-Fi now, you're going to see that drop. So don't think that something is wrong with your machine because it started doing this during this quarantine time, right? Just know that other people are using your internet. Um, if you know that you're the type of person who shares your Wi-Fi with the entire neighborhood because you're Mr. Nice Guy, and and everybody have your password, your neighbors have your password, then change your password, right? And there's nothing wrong with changing your password once in a while to ensure that you're secure. Some kids give out the password to their friends, right? And so they'll assemble around your house to use internet, which you don't want now, right? So change your password frequently to make sure that your password is not being your internet is not being weighed down by other users. Of course, the smart thing to do would be to explain to everybody in the house that the internet, while if you have 24 megs or 20 megs or 10 megs for that case, it is okay. Everybody can be on the internet without a complaint, right? But if you have 4 megabit per second or 8 megabit per second, then right? You have to figure it out. Um, but the speed of the internet does make a difference in these times. Everybody streaming will slow you down, right? So small comment there from our learn, share, photo, and video. Yeah, great to see another Caribbean creator. Yeah, I know I was watching some of the things from your site. It's nice, man. Nice to see Caribbean people getting into this thing, right? And of course, it means that we are now competing with the world, right? And I keep telling people that we know as much as the other people in the world know. You know, some people might say that they just work harder, they work harder on the computers, right? We work a lot in the farm or in other stuff, construction and so forth, right? But we are getting there. We are getting there, of course. So again, if there is a way that you can run a wire to your computer direct from the modem or from the router, I mean I call it a modem now, direct from the router coming into your house from your internet service provider, um, that would be the best thing. Run a wire direct, right? Wired connection is one of the more stable connections that you'll find. If you have Wi-Fi in your house, picture this: I have Wi-Fi in a room over there because that is where they install the router or the modem, and I am sharing 2 rooms down. That signal will be weak. By the time that signal reaches the last room, the signal would have diminished, right? So if you have Wi-Fi in the next room, the signal might be a little bit better, right? But keep in mind that it depends on people moving around. It depends on the type of walls you have. If your Wi-Fi connector is all the way up, then it depends on whether the roof is zinc that is above you, right? So there's a lot of interference that can happen with Wi-Fi, which is why I would recommend that you go direct wired, right? I know that you can run Ethernet or the Cat5 wire, the Cat6 wire if you can, right? And you can buy these already built. So you can run those to whatever device you have, whether it's your laptop, your PS4, your Xbox, your desktop, right? Run a direct wire to it so you can get a better you can get a better connection. Even to your smart TV, you can run the Ethernet wire. For people where you know that you're working, let's say I'm 2 rooms down, or and you don't really want to run Ethernet because you're the type of person who don't want wire all over the place, right? Then you can run. There's something called power line networking. I don't know if we have it here in Belize, but I know some other countries do offer it, where you can now share Ethernet over the power line, which is cool, right? So you have one device on one end and the other device on the other end, and you're using your power line if it's going across, right? So yeah, I agree. I agree too. Learn, share photo and video, right? You guys should definitely check out his YouTube channel. Yeah, make sure that you're wired to your desktop, right? I have my desktop here. I'm really close to my access point, and the access point is what gives off the Wi-Fi signal. And I still make sure that I run a wire because I could, right? So only in cases where you know that you really need to go wireless, that is when I go wireless. So like for my phone, I know I have to be wireless. I'm wireless and it works pretty fine, right? So again, these are just some of the questions that people have been asking. There's one more I want to touch on. I know I've been up for 5 minutes already. There's one more I want to touch on, and it's how do you work remotely to your work? How do you work from home remotely to your work, right? And again, some people asked me about this week, which is why I'm coming up with it. I know if you're not too concerned with security and so forth, Google now offers something called, I think it's Google Remote Desktop or Remote Desktop for Google, something like that, in that range. But it is a remote software that you can install if you have the same Google account. So I have Google account. I use it around my house just because I could. I have Google account on my desktop. I have my same Google account signed in on my laptop, and I have my same Google account signed in on my phone. And so because I have that, I'm able to manage my desktop from my phone. I'm able to manage my laptop from my phone and vice versa, right? So there's Google Remote Desktop, I think it's called, and it's totally free. And I'm big for free software because if it's free out there, then let's use it, right? Compared to there is another software called TeamViewer. TeamViewer is a paid software. They do give you a free version again for a little bit for a while, and afterwards they do charge you, right? But I'm big for open source product. I'm big for some of the freeware that you can use. So Google Desktop definitely works for me. I can hook up to my desktop at school if I have the same Google account signed in. If you are big into security and you're worried about, let's say you work for some other banking company or so forth, and you're asked to now work from home, I would recommend that you get a VPN installed. Right? A VPN is virtual private network, and so most companies they will recommend that you install a VPN. And what VPN does is that it allows you to connect from anywhere in the world, right? But you're connecting into the network at your workplace as if you're there. So when you start that VPN software, it creates that virtual private network, right? So it's encrypted and allows you to connect to your work server as if you're right at work, right? And of course, this is if you want additional security. I know Google Desktop does offer some sort of encryption. There is also Windows has a remote desktop software that you can use. It's kind of vulnerable though, so I wouldn't really recommend it unless you have to. I know that our internet service provider now, they do, well, I shouldn't say they do not give out public IP addresses though, because you have a public IP address anyway. But they do charge an additional fee if you want a public IP address that is static. That's the word, right? And most of the time, what happens is that it changes, right? All right. So he's saying that the guy from Learn Share Photo Video, right? And again, he's a Caribbean brother. Say he uses TeamViewer, which is free, right? And like I mentioned, TeamViewer is free. It works nice. I used a TeamViewer for years, right? Until they finally locked me out and say that I am using it for commercial purposes. I guess it was just because of the amount of time I used it, and I had about 4 machines on TeamViewer, and it worked perfect for years for me, right? So now I'm migrating into the Google Desktop. Another software that I use for remote desktop was VNC, right? And VNC is a pretty interesting software. It's a little bit difficult to set up, right? And of course, if you can set up a VPN, then fine, right? Do the VPN thing and use the Windows built-in remote desktop software, right? So that works fine also. Good. So I'll take a break and then we'll do a wrap up afterwards.
Said the system fail, we yes. Oh yes, oh yes. Why? Tell them boy. Said the system fail, we yes. Oh yes, oh yes. Why? Tell them boy. Your price gone up. Gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up. Tell them food bill gone up. Gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, yeah. Tell the system fail way. Tell the system fail way.
All right, system fail away. Mario G. System fail, yes. Uh, I agree with you, Mario. The sound was actually just in time, but with the whole COVID thing now, I mean, we have a lot more failures ahead, right? So we have some hard times ahead. So let's keep that in mind. For us here in Belize, population 400,000 people as an estimate, right? It's probably less. Um, 18 cases, sorry, don't want to be spreading false news, right? 18 cases. We have a strict curfew, right? Have a strict government, right? Um, but again, I do understand people do have to stay at home, right? I just hope that everything works out for us. So, a quick wrap up on what we covered today. Like I mentioned, this is just episode one of the talk show, and I'm calling this talk show Geek Yourself, where I get to share with you and you get to ask questions on stuff technology related, farming related, right? DIY, any type of construction. I also do a little bit of construction. I'm working on my house right now, right? So I do that during the daytime, a couple hours. Um, I do a little bit of Raspberry, a little bit of programming. I am a teacher by profession, right? I teach information technology. I do a little bit of drawing, AutoCAD, not too much, right? I used to do that. I also do a little bit of repairs and electronics, right? And so there's a lot I have to share with you guys. And of course, I'm here to answer whatever questions you have, right? All right, so you're saying in Jamaica, 69 cases. But the population of Jamaica is what? How many million? There's 4 million, I think. Yeah, about 4 million. Right? If I might be wrong. But Jamaica they have a lot of people, right? So I could only imagine. So even with 69 cases, it's pretty scary, right? Yeah, so I'm saying that there's a lot that I can't share with you, right? And of course, there's a lot that people can't share, and of course, this is the time to do that. So I'm starting this show. I'm starting the show off today, right? As opposed to the calling that I normally have with some of the other guys, and I'm hoping that I can do this weekly, right? If I can do more than one show for the week, I'll do that. Right? This is episode one only. Let me know if you like it in the comments below, right? Give me some feedback. We spoke about, just to give you a review, we spoke about the Google and Apple team up in terms of software and how they're using the Bluetooth low energy. And I'm mentioning this because I want you to do some research on Bluetooth low energy to show you that your Bluetooth is never off, as you may think. People say, all right, I switch off my Bluetooth, it's off. No, your Bluetooth is still on low energy mode, so that the companies like Apple and Google can use it, right? So Bluetooth low energy, do some research on that. The meeting and conferencing, I mentioned some of the different softwares that you can use, and so the Zoom, the Hangouts, the WhatsApp, the Jitsi, and whatever other software you're using to communicate with your families and friends. This is the time to do that, and if you have more examples you can share, also do that with us, right? The creation of masks and how technology is integrated into that. I have my friend, I think from the US, Mr. Barry Callan, and with 3D printing, and he has been printing on 3D printer some of the templates for the mask, and then giving out those masks to the first responders, which is nice, right? And in Belize, I know somebody from up north gave, they were making the mask manually, and they also gave that to the first responders and the hospitals, and I think some of the people on the streets, right, who are meeting people. So it shows that technology is helping. I saw in Jamaica actually, I saw somebody doing 3D printing and using I think the wiper motor to create a respirator, right? And so that is just showing how innovative people are, right, in these times. And of course, these are things that people have made already. And so if the plans are online, I'm sure that we can do that here in Belize also and across the world, right? We're seeing, I think we only have about 7 or 8 respirators in the country. We need to do better, right? Even if it means that we start getting people, and this is ideally what we want. We want to get our own people to be able to make those, right? Because there's no magic in them, right? We also spoke about some of the things that you can do, right? Yeah, that's from some of the students, right? We spoke about some of the things that you can do at home So, and I mention these because people are saying, "Oh, I'm bored at home." I I can never get bored. I don't see how people get bored. There's so much to learn. This is the time. And you know how happy I am to be home because this is the time now I spend learning new stuff, right? And so I like to tell people, I like to tell my students especially that we have to make sure, like if you're playing a game, we need to make sure that we level up every day, right? And so when there's something that happened today that it didn't happen yesterday, right? Something goes off in me, and I say I leveled up, right? And so I learned something new. So take this time for learning new things. If you're into programming, do that. If you're into cooking, do that. If you're into fashion, do that. Right? If you're into sewing, do that. Everything is available online for you to learn. And because of where I live, I don't have to be stuck in the house. I can go into the backyard and do some planting and also get my hands dirty, get in a sweat, right? Apart from that, if you're into the entertainment stuff, there is Netflix, there is Roku, there is the Fire Stick, and there's a bunch of other yeah, and I'm smiling because I like level up every day, right? I feel like I'm preaching for real. Yeah, but there's a bunch of other software that you can use to assist in your entertainment. I know that the students now, the children now, they're playing a lot of games online. Right? I'm a Fortnite player, so I do put in 2 hours of Fortnite every day. Sounds like a lot, right? But I do it in the night time, so I have my day scheduled out already, and I play Fortnite with some of my young boys who love Fortnite. And I guess they like having a teacher play with them, and then they go and brag that they killed me up, right? But apart from that, we spoke about hard drive, which I didn't have in the segment, but somebody came today and mentioned about the hard drive, so I thought I would share that with you and think about how easy it is to damage all of the precious data that you have stored in your laptop or your desktop. And so we have to take care that we don't bump them around right now too much because the hard drive is pretty expensive, right? Also, we spoke about wireless networking and how it affects you right now with the amount of people home, the load on the network, and of course, I do want to get into some more networking. If you have been following some of my videos, I do a lot of networking, long range networking, and short range networking, wired and wireless. Right, I still have a little bit of fiber to learn. Right, so I think I have most of the devices for the fiber. I'm just not taking the time to master it, right? But I have to. So at some point this year, I have to learn the fiber. I've done it already some years back, but I mean things change, times change, everything changes with it, right? But um, we also spoke about how to remote from work from home to work, and so I shared some of the software that I use with the Google, including the Google Remote Desktop. Right. So I'm hoping you found this session useful. I said it would be 30 minutes. I'm noticing now that I went an hour. Right. I feel like I'm in the classroom again, but again, it's the first of many to come. Right. I'm doing it early right now because I know everybody. A lot of people are at home, right? And the plan is as soon as this quarantine thing breaks up, we can do it later on in the night after the nightly news. Because I know 6 o'clock people are tuning into the nightly news and hear about the latest in the country, right? And of course, this is information that I'm sharing worldwide, right? And I enjoy sharing stuff. I enjoy learning new stuff, right? So again, remember to leave a comment below. All the people in the chat right now, I thank you, right? I do appreciate all the feedback I get. Growing this channel has been great for me. I'm not too big into the whole subscribership stuff, but I enjoy sharing, so I enjoy the feedback that I get from each and every one, right? And it gives me a chance to again make videos and teach the world. And so this has broadened my teaching now from just my classroom or at home, or for my people to sharing with the world what we know. Right? And there's a lot more I want to share with you guys. And I have some updates for you that I'll be doing hopefully tomorrow. Do some updates on the little planting that I'm doing outside. Hopefully I can get more gardening done in the latter weeks or maybe in next week after. I probably will extend my garden into another part of the yard. Right? And so you guys will also get to see that. But for right now, guys, continue to be safe. Have a great evening. Have a great week. Right? Make sure you eat. Make sure you're healthy. Make sure you keep your body, all the blood flowing. right? And like always, peace out and go geek yourself.
Oh yes. So the system fail with. So the system fail with. Oh yes. So the system fail with. Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Why? Tell them boy. So the system fail with. Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Why?